All right, good evening. We will call the meeting to order. If everyone could please rise and remove your hats, and we would like to have our long-term resident, soon to be short-term resident, Travis Montgomery. Would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Travis. Can we get a verification of quorum, please?
Director Cook,
Here.
Director Bell,
Here.
Director Doherty,
Here.
Director Commission,
Here.
President Van Vliet,
Here.
hearing 5 and
Perfect.
quorum met.
Are there any public officials who would like to speak this evening? I know we normally have Director Burke speak. She's not there, but we have had a lot of meetings with her recently. Some of you may be aware that we've had some issues with the lake, and I'm actually going to put, Eric, you put out an announcement today. Could you maybe recap that announcement for everyone here and online?
Brand new microphones, and it works. That's good. So we replaced one antiquated system, and then we had problems with another. So technology. So at 6 p.m. We put out I haven't seen it yet online, but should have gone out on Facebook and Instagram, a post about the golden algae bloom. There's been other information released about that recently. Basically, all we can say at this point is preliminary test results show that we have low levels of golden algae in the lake, which are probably attributing to the brown color in the lake. We've had about 200 large fish die that we know of. And those fish, some of those fish have been collected and sent off for toxicology reports. We won't have those toxicology reports on the fish until the latter part of July. We have preliminary water quality results showing that there is golden algae present, low levels of golden algae. I haven't seen the test results. This is just anecdotal information through email from Water District staff to me. And let's see, in general, golden algae is a new thing that I haven't experienced in the 8 years, or actually any of the 20 years I've been coming here. But it has affected other local water bodies. It's affected Lake Mission Viejo. It's affected Diamond Valley Lake. It can cause fish deaths, which we're seeing some of. It is generally not hazardous to humans, except it can be a skin and eye and respiratory irritant. And so with the information we put out tonight does say we suggest you don't eat any fish from Canyon Lake until further notice. If you do choose to go in the water, we suggest that you rinse off with soap and water, and just know that it can be a skin, eye, and respiratory irritant. And other results are pending. We expect more test results on the fish, more water quality tests. Steve Schneider and I have a meeting with EVMWD and Lejewa staff tomorrow, and we're going to keep the community posted. So we also sent out an email to all 4,800 prime property owners this afternoon. They were working on that as I was driving over here. And so we're going to, that's what I have to tell you about that. Darcy and Jeremy hosted a little kind of town hall meeting at City Hall last night. Pretty much the same information. We all learned this last Thursday, and we'll keep the community posted.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Also, just when it comes to water and water quality, everyone needs to know that there are many authorities that are involved with it. There's the Canyon Lake Property Owners Association. There is the Elsinore Valley Municipal Water District. There is the Lake Elsinore San Jacinto Watershed Authority, and the City of Canyon Lake. So all four entities are working together to figure out what happened, what are potential courses of action, what are the consequences of those various courses of action, and what are we going to do about it? And so that's going to take some time. One question was asked is, will this be fixed by Memorial Day? And the answer is no. It will not. We will not have the full water tests done until May 31st. So until then, proceed, given the current warnings that Eric described. So any more questions on that? We can address that at a later time. Okay, with that, let's have a community patrol update.
Mr. President, can you approve the minutes first, please? You skipped that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor of approving the minutes April 1st, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing five in favor, motion carries.
Thank you for the reminder.
In my peripheral vision, I saw you may have had a question over there on the last topic. A hand went up if you want to.
If there's a question, before we get started, yeah, I mean, be happy to take a question from the floor if you. Okay, yeah, just, and for those of you who are online who maybe didn't hear the comment, Pete DeRazio mentioned that there was there were a couple of town hall meetings, one week or so ago, and then one last night. During the first one, they didn't know what the issue was in the lake, and so they said maybe if we have people go take their boats out and turn up the water, maybe that would help with the clarification. When we found out it was golden algae, we realized that is actually the exact opposite of what you want to do, because when you turn over the water and you move the boats, it actually helps spread the algae bloom. And so, so we want to make sure everyone understands that. So yeah, we will, as soon as we have more information, we will keep everyone posted. But thank you for that, for reminding us, Pete. People still can do it at their own risk. We don't have any further information. But in terms of having a parade of boats to go turn it over and so forth, that's what we don't want to do. Are you prohibited from using your boat? No, not at this point. Okay. Thanks. All right, now let's talk about community patrol.
All right, good evening. My name is Austin Davis. I'm captain with Canyon Lake Community Patrol. We're going to be reading the Community Patrol report for March. Oh, sorry about that. Is that better? Good. Yeah. We're good? All right. It's going to be the Community Patrol report for March. As far as violations for the month of March for speeding, GR 5.1C, calls for service, we had 0 calls for speeding. We issued 32 citations total. Parking violations, we had 27 calls for service. We issued 33 total citations. For unauthorized entry, we had 48 calls for service. 4 total citations were issued during the month of March. For e-bike violations, GR 5.2, we had 27 calls for service and addressed 13 of those calls with citations. Noise complaints, we had 10 total, and we issued 1 citation in the month of March. Total calls of service in the month of total calls for service, sorry, for the month of March, we had 224. Of those calls for service, 26 we were unable to locate within the community. Guest citations issued in the month of March, we had 56 total. Service provider or contractors, we issued 1 citation. Member citations totaled 99. Of all of those citations, 35 were warnings. We addressed 5 vandalism issues in the month of March within the community, and we had 10 instances of property damage, which include gate arm strikes and other issues within the CLPOA common areas. Miscellaneous violations include pet violation, parks and beach violations. We had 45 total that we addressed in the month of March. We issued 0 citations for school bus stop enforcement and 44 total for failure to stop at a stop sign. And we issued 0 citations for illegal riding and towing. It typically involves people riding in the back of a boat while it's being towed on trailer. The gate entry statistics, we confiscated 43 total passes and identified 4 cases of misuse of access identification. For the 2-lane guest entry protocol, we spent 35 minutes managing backups at the gate, 15 total at the main gate, and 20 total at the east gate.
One question, I noticed the confiscated gate passes are down substantially. What, does anything drive that, or just, we went from 242 to 43, and, which is great. That's less.
I noticed that as well. Some of it is going to just have to do with regular traffic. Aside from that, for a drop that big, I don't really have a good explanation. It does fluctuate from month to month.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got a lot in February. Okay, good. Ken, do you want anything?
I have a question for you, Ken, if I may. There's been some chatter in the community about quotas, minimum quotas for speeding and stop signs, which are, those citations are on the increase, so that might be a natural outgrowth of that. But I would like you to address the existence or non-existence of quotas by our community patrol staff.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I did see that there was an interpretation of a communication or a conversation that led someone to believe that we had a quota system and they posted that. We do not. I'll be honest with you, we don't need one. There is so much activity here. When the officer spoke to the person over the phone, his comment was, and I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was overheard on body camera. The comment was more of, this is me doing my job and I have to do my job, and this is what I'm doing today, is writing this ticket because I have to. And every business has forms of measurement on what is successful, and every employee is expected to have a level of productivity. So I know that if a patrol officer comes back from a day's work and they haven't written any citations, the bosses of the community patrol are going to say, well, what are you doing out there? When we know that there's all stop signs and speeding opportunities all day long. When I watch the dash cam video, the officers pull up to an intersection where we know people are going to run the stop sign, and the engine doesn't get cold. In fact, they don't even turn the engine off sometimes, because the next 2 or 3 cars later, they run the stop sign and off they go. So no, we don't have quotas. That's not good business. Nobody has that in law enforcement. They may have other incentives, and they have productivity levels and expectations to do a job, but there is no number out there.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, now this is one of our favorite times of the meeting, where we honor one of our members of the month. And tonight, our member of the month will be presented by Joe Commission.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to honor Jack Wamsley. Jack Wamsley's been a fixture in Canyon Lake for over 40 years. He was born in 1931 in Akron, Ohio. As an infant, he became an orphan with the tragic death of his parents at just 2 years old. He spent time in an orphanage where he was adopted to the Wamsley family. Jack had a good life as a young boy until tragedy hit for the second time. When he was only 13 years old, he lost both his adopted parents to illnesses. As a young teen, Jack took care of himself, working odd jobs and sleeping at the YMCA from time to time, and staying with local families. He graduated high school in Huntington, Indiana in 1949, where he competed in football and swimming. Jack's swim team won the national championship, and he earned a football scholarship at LSU, only to lose it to a broken leg. Jack enlisted into the Air Force in 1950, where he served time in the United States and in Europe. He eventually returned to March Field in Southern California for his discharge, and he ended up settling in Huntington Park. Jack attended some classes at USC before he was hired onto the Huntington Park Fire Department. Jack married his wife Nancy, and they were together for over 60 years. They had 2 children, Debbie, who followed her father's footsteps into the Air Force. She trained as a medic and eventually certified as a physician's assistant. Their son Chris, who graduated from UCI, lives in Orange County and is very in close touch with his father. Jack eventually transferred to Los Angeles County Fire Department, where he completed his 30-year career as a firefighter. After raising their family in Huntington Park, Jack and Nancy bought a lot in Canyon Lake on Loch Lomond in the mid-'80s and built their forever home where Jack lives today. Jack fell in love with Canyon Lake and became a driving force in our community when he was elected to the POA and served 3 years on the board of directors. During that time, he saw the need for cityhood for Canyon Lake. With county funds hard to get and surrounding cities wanting to have control of our bit of paradise, Jack knew we had to control our own destiny and protect the surrounding BLM land. Jack led the campaign for cityhood, and within 1 year, Canyon Lake became one of the smallest cities in Riverside County. Jack served as a charter member of City Council in 1990 and went on to serve a total of 3 terms. Jack served on many city committees and was instrumental in many of the upgrades and improvements in our community. Over his career in city government, Jack met many county and state officials and used those contacts to help get and raise funds for needed projects. He was able to get over $1 million worth of equipment for the dredge project, multiple storage containers for the POA and the TWG. He was a driving force for getting fuel station at the campground and led the charge for the emergency golf cart at the golf course that has come into action recently. Jack personally helped me when I was working on the $2 million irrigation project for the golf course. He connected me with a friend at the Metropolitan Water District, which resulted in a $97,000 grant from the POA. Jack is a bulldog when it comes to getting things done and a consummate volunteer who has donated almost 40 years to help and serve Canyon Lake. It's time we thank Jack for his service. Jack, would you please come up?
Oh, oh, wait till Joe gets back. Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank all the board members for their recognition. I've always had a lot of feelings for this area, long before I ever moved out here. When I first entered the Air Force, this used to be a dirt road out here to a mud pond, but we still came out and fished. And I've always liked the area. When it came my time to retire from the fire department, I had put 50 years in the LA County, 30 years active, and I started to retire, and the chief said, "Jack, I got a job for you." And I said, "Well, what?" He said, "I want you to work movies." And I said, "Well, I don't know anything about movies." And he said, "Well, we're going to teach you." Well, 200 movies later, I was 83 years old. I told the chief, "Damn it, you got to get somebody younger." And I had the, I guess, enjoyment of working those movies. The last one was Gran Torino, and Clint Eastwood and I were pretty good friends. We're both the same age. We're both 94. But this community has been a life-saving thing for myself and my wife, who passed away 4 years ago, but we were together for 60 years, so we had a good life. I enjoyed working on projects. When I first got here, one of the things I thought was uh, people were carrying gas cans down to their boats. And I said, well, that's kind of stupid. Why don't we have our own gas over here? So that was working over putting the gas in today was one of my first projects. The next thing I asked for tax money to do a 4-lane highway out here. Because at one time it was only 2 lanes. And they said, well, we got supervisors, we got places here, places there. And so I said, okay, you don't give us the money, I'm going to form our own city and we'll take the money and tax money. So that's what we did. We formed I don't know whether you know, but a lot of people helped me on that project. And I gotta tell any board member and even new guys coming on, if you got a problem, call Eric, set up a meeting, tell him the problem, and he'll either argue with you and tell you no, or he'll say, yeah, I'll do it. But anyway, we're lucky to have people like that. Steve over here, he's the same way. When I wanted something in the community, and he would jump on it and he'd have it in a couple of days. And you can't realize how effective these 2 guys are, Eric and Steve. They're good people, and they're good to work with, but you guys got to work with them. You can't go out and do things on your own. I never did anything on my own. I had people help me. I have very lucky to be able to see a lot of people like Metropolitan Water, which Joe needed some money, so I got Metropolitan Water. Give us 94,000, 97,000, and that didn't cost the POA a dime, except my time. And I guess I got to tell you how that happens. I could pick up the phone and talk to Washington anytime I wanted to with their local people. I don't, like the doctor told me I had 3 heart attacks, and the doctor said, Jack, you got to get the hell out of politics. I said, well, maybe you're right. So I did. I thank you guys for recognizing the help. I spent a lot of my life trying to make this place better.
I wouldn't be here without you, Jack. We really thank you for everything you've done for Canyon Lake.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, sure. All right.
If I may. You may have gotten a little taste of why I call Jack a bulldog when it comes to getting things done. He made it pretty clear that he was a doer, and we thank him for his service.
All right, next we have a couple of presentations that Eric Kazakov is going to make.
This time of year, we like to thank our outgoing volunteer board directors who have given selflessly of their time to give back to our community. And we have 3 board members that are terming out. Alex Cook has been served on the board for 2.5 years. been instrumental in this community for 25 plus years, and yeah, really has a volunteer's heart. I've met a lot of people in this community that were just born to do volunteer service and pitch in at Little League and pitch in the campground club. And Alex finally got convinced to apply and get appointed to the board a couple of years ago. And so he did a half a term as appointed and then ran last year. So thank you, Alex, for your service. Joe Kamasian, and we have plaques for all of them. I'm going to try to streamline a little bit, and we'll take pictures all together. Joe Kamasian, it's been an absolute pleasure serving, working with you for the past 4 years. If I recall correctly, you did 2 years, took a year off, and then came back for 2 more. Glutton for punishment. Honestly, not sure why these guys do it. As we go through an election season, I think you see why. It's shocking to some of us that work here that people would actually volunteer to go through this process, even to get on the board. And then once they do get on the board, there's an awful lot of criticism that we at the POA and the volunteers that make the decisions and open or close the purse strings and make the difficult approving rules and committee appointments and really everything that happens here. Staff tease things up and then they make the decisions. And when you're a volunteer board member, you get a lot of flack for virtually everything that happens. There's always someone that's upset. So. Joe, thank you for your 4 years. Joe was president and secretary. Were you also a treasurer? Okay. Okay. Alex was treasurer and director, I believe. Okay. And then we have Jeff Bill, who is board treasurer currently. And Jeff has served 2 years. Also, again, a thankless job, and thank you for your volunteer time. And these guys are also liaisons to committees, and so they don't just sit here once a month. We start our board meetings today at noon, and so all of us have been going at this since noon today, and the rest of the month they all attend various committees. Every one of them has more than one committee that they sit on, and many other hours that they give back to this community. So thank you to Alex and Joe and Jeff. And we have some plaques for you guys.
Can we say a few words about these guys before,
Please.
before they get out of here? So I'd like to add, just, you know, what people don't realize in terms of what it takes to be on the board, it's about 800 hours a year of volunteer service. So it's, these individuals are giving up a lot of their personal time. In addition to that, we get calls, emails, texts, all kinds of posts and so forth on social media. And so anyone who is willing to dedicate their volunteer time as a service does a lot for our community. Alex, I think you're one of the, I would say, first of all, I'm so thankful for this board overall. This is a very professional board. We work well together. There have been a lot of hard decisions to make. We talk through all those things, but we bring different perspectives that help us provide a more balanced outcome. And so I want to thank everyone for that. Alex, you're probably the most engaged and social member of our board, I would say. I think you've got probably one of the best pulses on the community, and I thank you for your service on that. Joe, you're probably, I mean, can you show everybody your book, your board book? He's our secretary, and Joe is meticulous. I mean, he's got everything colored and tabbed, and I mean, he's got so much control over the whole process. That keeps us online. If we forget something, Joe's there to remind us, and Joe's brings this additional wisdom, right, to the board. And so, Joe, I thank you for that. And Jeff, in addition to this, his day job is he does water quality things. So having that expertise, particularly at this time of what we're going through in Canyon Lake, has been very valuable. But also, he's been very engaged in the security side of it. He engaged in rewriting the RFP and helping through that whole process and identifying the job definition for the security manager that we've got. And so, Jeff, thank you for all your service. Appreciate all you've done for us.
They put up with a lot of abuse for a piece of walnut and the black metal. So it really ought to be a little more than that. But this has been a great board, and again, thank you guys so much for your volunteer service. It's people have no idea what a thankless job this really is. So it's props to all of you.
Okay, I think we made the announcement, which is about the water and the lake situation. So with that, are there any member comments? Anyone who'd like to speak on non-personnel or agenda items?
Yes, Mr. President, we have Travis Montgomery.
All right, come on up, Travis.
Excuse me. Travis Montgomery, 3863010. I wonder how many times I've said that and had the board think, here he goes again. Anyway, good evening and thank you, President Bill, for the honor of leading the flag salute. Most of you know that Valerie and I have listed our house for sale. We're leaving Canyon Lake after 25 years and California after 84 years. We're being drawn to Jacksonville, Florida by 3 great-grandchildren, 3 adult grandchildren and their spouses, and a daughter and son-in-law. We're not leaving California, we're going to Florida. I want to thank this board in particular for your diligence in keeping our community fresh and updated. Keeping a community up to date and in good repair is kind of like selling a house. Most of us let things go in the house for months, if not years, and then rush to fix them just before we sell. We've had a light out over our fireplace mantle for over 3 years and lived with it. It's more than changing a light bulb. Now we're selling, we're having it fixed for the new owners to enjoy. I encourage this board and your successors to keep Canyon Lake and its amenities up to date and in good repair as though you're going to sell it for top dollar. Keep adding to it and make it more attractive. You weren't elected to maintain the status quo, resulting in deterioration by normal use. Keep the tennis and pickleball courts painted, put sand in the bunkers in the golf course, repair the roads, and the list goes on and on. I have confidence that this board will maintain and improve our little bit of paradise. I also want to thank my golf partner for the past 10 years for his service on this board as his current term comes to an end. Thank you, Joe. Canyon Lake's a better place to live because of your involvement in our community, not just on this board. And the same could be said of each of the rest of you on the board. As a former board member, treasurer, and president, I know much of what happens is due to the professional and dedicated staff. A special shout out to Eric and his staff. They're proactive and are such an integral part of maintaining and improving our community. It's been a great 25 years. We're not leaving Canyon Lake. We're joining our family in Florida. Best of luck to all of you, and I'll see you next at the annual meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Travis, and just know you will be missed, you and Valerie both. Thank you for all your contributions to the community and the golf community. Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Lainey Cooney.
I had to practice my track and thought. Laney Cooney, 3777012. Wasn't what I got up here to talk about, but just briefly, it's funny how life takes a big circle. Many years ago, I'd like to think it wasn't quite so long ago, but it was. I was 28. The lodge looked very different than it does right now. I think we're 3 or 4 renovations since then. And there was some park equipment out front. And my 1-year-old, my first child, was playing in it, and it was hot because it was concrete. And so I said, I'm going to go to the board because I'm going to get some park equipment. And everybody said, it's a bunch of older people and it's not really important. And of course, I didn't know any better at 28. So myself and Vicki Sterling marched right in and we made our case for park equipment. We wanted $2,500. Mr. Walmsley was on the board. We walked out that night with $25,000. And that began my 7 or 8 years on the parks and how all these parks began to change. And it's just funny how I should be running now for the board and this should come all about. So he has definitely been a force. Under 3 minutes. I really came up here to say thank you for last night. It was really inspirational to see all of the I won't recite the alphabet soup, but the organizations involved in the water quality come together and be working cooperatively. Just the communication, it's just got to be, you know, we know that you guys want the Marine Patrol to pick up the fish. That's not specifically out there. Like, this is one of these issues you can't communicate enough about. Communicate, communicate, and communicate enough. It's so important, not just for people who live on the lake and for swim. I mean, I swim in the lake. So it is really, really important, and you can't communicate enough on this issue. Who should we be contacting? Who should we be specifically addressing these issues? Because, you know, everybody's concerned, and I said it last night and I'll repeat it. It is so important to understand the root cause before we start implementing solutions, because inadvertently we can make something worse, and we were going down that route. So I think, you know, with urgency comes great thought, and I'm optimistic that we'll get through this. And thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you, Lainey. Do we have any others? No? Okay, great. Well, with that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items A and B? I'll move it.
Motion.
And we have a second
Second.
and a third. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed?
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Great. All right, Susan, come on down.
This will be fast. Cash is transferred between funds and accounts as the need arises to keep the funds in balance. The request this evening is to transfer $1,400,000 from the enterprise bank operating account, and also transfer $1,000 from the Schwab operating account into the repair and replacement fund at Schwab Investment Company. In compliance with Civil Code 5515 and prudent fiscal management, it's recommended that the total of $2,400,000 in 2 separate transfers be made in order to rebalance the reserve funds for the 2025 and 2026 fiscal year.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Are there any member comments or questions? Any board comments, questions, or clarifications? I'll have one, just one question, Susan. This is moving money from the operating fund into the reserve fund. Is that correct? That's
That
a good
is
thing?
correct.
So we're moving
Specifically, the repair and replacement.
from checking to savings. That's always a good thing. Okay. We will do a roll call.
Director Bill,
Aye.
Director Cook,
Yeah.
Director Commission,
Yes.
Director Doherty,
Aye.
President Van Vliet.
Aye.
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Susan. Tiffany.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? Echo's not in these like the other ones. The Rules and Regulations Review Committee was tasked with reviewing and improving the current rules and regulations. The goal is to create a more cohesive and user-friendly document for the community. So part of this consolidation, we're proposing merging basketball courts, golf field, pickleball courts, and tennis courts into one section that's going to be titled Courts and Fields. In doing this, we're going to be combining the following rules into one rule within the proposed section 1 of the Courts and Fields. It will be CF 2.1, no profanity. So that will incorporate basketball courts, no profanity, pickleball courts, no profanity, tennis courts, no profanity. Combining basketball court, basically all the basketball court rules, golf field rules, goodness, pickleball court rules into one rule for all wheeled devices. So we're doing the no bicycle, skateboards, scooters, rollerblades. All of those rules are going to be consolidated into one rule. And no animals will also be consolidated into one rule from the basketball courts, pickleball courts, and tennis courts. And we're removing the no loitering rule, the basketball courts no loitering and tennis courts no loitering, because we already have a GR rule for that. And gosh, this is long. Why did I write such long rules, guys? There are a lot of rules. So combining hours of use for golf field had 2 rules for hours of use. So we're combining this into one, and moving the following rules into the general rules from golf field, which would be no driving or riding on fields, no trash or littering, no climbing. Removing the basketball courts rule for the POA not being responsible for medical expenses, injuries, or accidents, and also the use at your own risk rule, because it's again covered in our general rules. Removing the responsibility for damages and responsibility for reimbursement from golf field, because it's covered in GR 2.1. And removing the following sections within basketball courts and golf field for long-term scheduling, organized youth adult leagues, using the basketball courts exclusively, and the golf field rules 3.1 through 3.8. These rules specifically are going to be incorporated into our facility use policy that we're currently updating, and we're going to be bringing that to the board, I believe, next month or potentially the month after. The idea is to get a lot of our processes out of the rules and kind of keep our rules as just that. And lastly, creating a rule for guest use on the tennis and basketball courts to be consistent with the rule that is already in place for pickleball. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve the 28-day reading as it was presented this evening.
Thank you, Tiffany. Do we have a motion to approve the 28-day reading?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any community members like to speak on this or ask questions about this matter? Okay. Any board comments or questions?
Yeah. I've sat on this committee for the last 2.5 years, and they've been working through this. And I think that one of the processes here, it's been difficult, is these rules been made over the last 50 years and just kept being added and added. You know, we didn't have pickleball rules 10 years ago. So there's a whole different section of 3-4 pages of rules that were added just to do the pickleball. So the whole process here and goal was to consolidate and not have duplication. Virtually all those places had a no loitering rule, and that's also in the GR rules too. So it was really important task. I got to thank Tiffany and Harmony, and there was past people, Lynn, that were here that all had a voice and started this process. So this is something that needed to be done, and now pulling the policies out as well will be much easier for staff, the community, to figure out and what's going on, because everything was intertwined before. So the goal here was not to change the rules, it was just to consolidate.
Thanks, Alex. All in favor of approving this 28-day reading, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
All right, Tiffany, you got another one for us?
I do. So this is a rule approval. I brought this last month. The Rules and Regulations Committee reviewed a proposed modification to General Rule 2.0, guest usage of common areas and amenities. The goal is to further define the holidays covered in this rule. The change would provide us with the Canyon Lake POA with the broader authority to hold members accountable for their guest actions on all Canyon Lake POA recognized holidays. It's recommended that the board approve the rule revision to revise General Rule 2.0, guest usage of common areas and amenities.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Motion. Second.
All right. Any member comments or questions? Nope. All right. Board member comments, questions? All in favor of approving GR 2.0, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Hearing 5 in favor, motion carries.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. All right, moving right along. We typically will talk about our the committees that we're liaisons to. So let's maybe, Jeff, you want to start? Or do you want me to start with Alex? Go for it.
Currently, we have the FPC working with the Finance Committee, and what they're doing is they're looking at our 5-year plan and measuring it against the budget. We want to make sure to stay within a budget, and that's why we're doing it. I think they're going to do a pretty good job on that, and they've got some really qualified people there. There's not much else to say because those are combining the two for one project. So.
Yeah, I've got the TWG and the Green Committee. Take care of the golf course. It's near and dear to my heart. TWG is having their divot party. I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again. It's next Monday, right around the corner. It's if you want to participate, you can show up to the clubhouse at 8:30 on Monday morning. You'll have coffee and donuts, and just they'll have carts available if you don't have a cart, but just go out there and help them put sand in the divots on the golf course throughout the course. It's a great thing. They do it a few times a year, and it makes a remarkable difference in the playability of the golf course and the quality of the golf course, which we take a lot of pride in. Green Committee is meeting this Thursday at 1 o'clock in the Magnolia Room. They're working on, of course, bunkers. We're trying to get that project out to bid. And they're also going to be talking about a safety fence that's going to go up between the driving range and the putting green that's there. I guess there's been some concern about balls not being hit straight out in the driving range, being hit sideways, and possibly some accidents might occur. So they want to be proactive and put the fence up as protection for that. So those will be two things on their agenda for this Thursday at 1 o'clock in the Magnolia Room. That's my committee report. Thank you.
Recreation Committee. You know, this community is pretty well built out. We don't have much vacant land left, and I guess less than 100 home lots have not been developed. So we're pretty built out over the past 55, 56 years. The Recreation Committee is beginning to realize that a lot of the things that we come up with are really maintenance issues, like this is broken or that needs paint or something like that, as opposed to new recreation projects. Now, we have come up with some of those recently, some benches at the cornhole courts over in Roadrunner, small things like that. But I think I mentioned this last month, but we're really looking for the community's input on both recreation projects that maybe we haven't thought of yet, and maybe you guys can think of something that you've seen out there that might be a need, or maybe a maintenance project. Because again, that's kind of where things are falling for us now in many ways. Paint, like I said, or there's a hole in the concrete somewhere. But just keep your eyes and ears open, and we would very much appreciate the feedback from you guys for our committee to bring to the board. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. I'm on the Security Advisory Committee and also the Senior Working Group. The Security Advisory Committee has two things going on. One, they are expanding their pilot for Neighborhood Watch. And if any community member is interested in maybe starting to speak up, form one in your neighborhood, they will be meeting at the fire station on May 10th. The fire station has an open house on May 10th, and there's flyers and contacts available. You can contact Kathy Lekwa, who's here in the room, also Daryl Jackson, and there's information available online or at the fire station open house. Also, they're working with Ken. There will be a bike fair, combined bike fair and golf cart show in the town center on June 14th. And so we encourage everyone. The purpose of that is to encourage safe riding, teaching them how to follow the rules of the road. There will also be vendors that will be providing free handouts and equipment to participants. And so we encourage everyone to, as the summer begins, to get out there and encourage our adults, our children, and so forth to participate in that. What else? Oh, on the Senior Working Group, there will be a free CPR class that's offered at the Senior Center on June 28th. And then they will have their next, the they'll have a potluck on the last Sunday in June. That's it.
I sit on the, excuse me. I sit on the Rules Committee and I also sit on the Appeals Committee. Two fascinating committees. The Rules Committee, as you see, we've been working on the project. We talked about it a little bit ago. It's super rewarding as we, go through the rules and having a cohesive committee to work through the wording per se. Sometimes it's, you have all these rules that have been written over 50 years. Everybody has their own tone of writing things. So it's been really refreshing on how they look at it all. The Appeals Committee, they're a tough bunch. These are committee members that give up their time once a week to basically uphold or listen to people's appeals on tickets. It's not always enjoyable, but they come and volunteer every single month and give back. And it's been really great to watch them work. I want to say, again, I always say this, and everybody knows me, the backbone of this community is committees. There's opening in committees all the time. So get involved. It's a good way of learning what we do and from the inside.
Thanks, Alex. Okay, Eric, you want to give us your GM update?
Sorry, I was just updating our golden algae post a little bit. Editing on the fly. Thank you all for coming. I want to say, I want to add to what we talked about, the golden algae. The lake is not closed. This is not the same as a blue-green algae bloom. Those contain cyanotoxins. That type of algae is toxic to humans and dogs. This is a little different. As far as humans go, this is more of an irritant than a toxin. So the lake is currently open. We still have green flag boating conditions. We're letting the community know. This post went out and people are already saying, wait, is the lake closed? What does this mean? What are you going to do about it? We're meeting tomorrow. Steve and I are meeting the general manager and his staff at the water district and the staff of Lejua, who's actually responsible for water quality, and they apply and perform the alum treatments, and they're really the water quality experts. We're a private company. We're meeting with the water agency and the water quality experts, and tomorrow I imagine we will discuss what treatment options there are, if there are any. There's been a lot of talk about treating with copper. You can treat algae with copper, but there's some serious side effects to that. Copper, in a nutshell, tends to kill everything. And it can have rebound effects a year later. So this is a serious conversation. We're taking this seriously, and we'll be meeting with people a lot smarter than us on water tomorrow and developing a plan, and we will keep the community posted. But the lake is not closed. This isn't a toxic algae bloom. It's a golden algae bloom. It's harmful to fish, not as harmful to humans, and really, we all learned about this the same time everybody else did, like late last week. So we'll keep you guys posted. Let's see what else. As usual, I like to refer people to the staff reports. Our staff spends probably a day each per manager in every department putting a report together specifically so the community knows exactly what every one of our managers and our departments are doing. If you refer to page 28 of the agenda, our community services manager, Tiffany, puts together a fantastic report. And in that report, you'll see what the communications team is doing. It's on the screen here. And what the recreation department is doing and what member services is doing. I won't go into great detail because there's a lot of information in there, but I will highlight that we did discontinue Saturday in a cost-saving measure and in an effort to keep our subsidies low, which is a continued goal of us. We looked at the number of people that came and utilized our member services counter on Saturdays, and that number was very, very small. And so to save staff hours and a little bit of payroll, we chose to try something new and discontinue Saturday hours this year. And instead, we are open till 7 p.m. on, is it Wednesday and Thursday, Tiffany? Okay. And the first Wednesday, we had nobody come in. And the first Thursday, we had one person come in. We've been trying to push the word out. People have been pretty receptive to it. People that work, they kind of like the idea of coming in late on a Thursday night or Friday night instead of giving up their Saturday morning to come in. So we'll try this for a while and we'll monitor and see. And if it turns out that we had more customers on a Saturday, we may go back to Saturday. But for right now, we're offering that. It's boating registration season. We'll see how it goes. And just trying to get the word out that if you want to come in and pay for your boat registration, we're open till 7 o'clock Thursday and Friday. Just trying something new. In the operations department, there's another very detailed report. Just some highlights on that. Storm drainage improvements on Fairweather have been completed. And that's been an ongoing problem, water coming from Quail Valley for several years. Let's see, today the board approved our year 3 paving project request for proposal. It's basically the bid package that we will be putting out on the street to contractors to bid for our 3rd year paving project. Steve will be sharing that with the facilities planning committee this Thursday. So you guys will get a look at that full RFP this week, and then we'll probably put it out to bid next week. As always, the RFP will be very publicized. As soon as we put it out to bid, it'll be public on our website for anyone and everyone to look at and bid on. And the project documents, as we go through the project, phasing maps and all the progress documents and photos will also be on our website. At Galt Field, soils testing and the footing designs for the new light poles have been completed. And I think you're in the middle of getting building permits for those. And once we get permits, we will start on that replacement lighting project. It's a process, takes several months. We had to get soils testing and specific footing designs, and now we're getting building permits. Galt Field scoreboards. We have brand new scoreboards that are long overdue. I think the old ones are 25 years old. The new ones look amazing. I got a glimpse of them, and they have the Canyon Lake Property Owners Association and kind of a baseball logo, Galt Field. They're very cool looking and brought us into 2025. And Clark Pest Control has generously said they will be sponsoring both of those at no cost to the POA. And so we're also making a sponsor board underneath there, and that project should happen in the next month, I'm guessing. So new scoreboards at Galt Field. And Equestrian Center, also in the operations report this month, just some kind of routine things. Not big projects, but some French drains at the Equestrian Center and new conduit and wiring and new lighting at the dressage and jump arenas. These are typical things that you'll find in the operations report on any given month. And they're just kind of run-of-the-mill projects for us that we do all the time. Our job is maintaining the community. We don't highlight smallish projects like that, but that's what Steve and his team does day in, day out. And so if you want to know what's going on, please read the staff reports, because every single thing we do is in there. And then a little bit out of order, going back to Tiffany's report, the community services report. In there's also the recreation department, which Tiffany oversees, and there's kind of like a 2 or 3 month calendar in there. And of course, this month we have Fiesta Day coming up on May 24th. Very excited about that. We're doing the Lodge, Holiday Harbor, and Sierra Park on Saturday, May 24th. And then on Sunday, May 25th, Canyon Lake's first ever Country Fest, which is 4 nationally known artists with nationally known country hits. And 4, 5, 6 hours of country music at the Holiday Harbor Amphitheater. And so we're happy to bring that to the members just as one of our POA amenities. And so excited for Memorial Day weekend. And I did update our Facebook post just now as we were sitting here because I anticipating the questions. And as always, we have a protocol with EVMWD where we do water quality testing several weeks before every major holiday. When we started to have cyanotoxin and blue-green algae bloom several years ago, we came up with kind of a handshake agreement with the water district that several weeks before 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, we will do water quality testing. The POA takes the samples. We deliver those samples to EVMWD. They send them to Babcock Laboratories. The water gets tested, and then before each big holiday, we get those test results back, and we make sure that the water is safe to swim in and there's no toxic algae. We will be doing that. We would have done that anyway before Memorial Day. Of course, we will be doing it now. May do some additional testing now that we know we have golden algae. I know that the golden algae testing is still ongoing and the results we have are preliminary. So everybody wants to know, is the lake going to be open for Memorial Day? As of right now, I don't know why it wouldn't be, with the disclaimer that golden algae can be an irritant to humans, and that's really all I know at this point. So we'll continue to do testing and we'll continue to update people, and that's all I have.
And thanks so much. I want to point out one thing. This is a great report, and I encourage everyone to look at it. One of the things that kind of shocked me was you look at the recreation report. 315 functions were held in the month of April alone, and 187 of those were for clubs. Right, so we do, and there's quite a bit of support and activity. And if you don't have enough to do in Canyon Lake, I don't know what would keep you busy. Thank you, Eric, and again to staff for all the hard work that's done. This is it really is it's a great team that do awful lot for all of our members. Alex, you want to have any parting comments?
I'm gonna just jump on what Bill said. I kind of have a motto about living in Canyon Lake. If you're not having fun, it's your fault. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of fun people to hang out with. So it's always been one of my beliefs. I was going to talk about Fiesta Days, but that was covered. Don't forget about Harbor Fest. That's new. So, the more people come and enjoy it, the more we can guarantee we can do it again in the future. So one of the things, election. The 14th is next Wednesday. I know there's 4 of us that don't want it to go till Friday. So if we could get a few more votes in the next couple weeks or next week, next 5 days, it would make us all sleep a little easier and so forth. So get your votes in. Again, if you haven't gotten a ballot, if you haven't gotten the email, reach out to HOA Elections. Check your spam folder. If the POA did not have an email on file with you, you automatically got a paper ballot too. So look into that if you haven't gotten it. I think one thing with the election, I think I want to reiterate, at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. Election time can be tough. People get a little emotional, but at the end of the day, we have to be cordial, nice, and welcoming to all our neighbors. And so this is going to be over in a week, and we move forward. And again, if you're not having fun, it's your fault. So let's all look forward to moving on to whatever we have to do. I want to say one parting comment. Tonight was pretty cool seeing Jack up here, Travis, Joe sitting over there. I can name Jordan Ehrenkrantz. God, some of these people that when I first running on committees and were involved with the POA were people that I looked up to and learned a lot from in this community through the years. And I want to say thank you to all of you because in some ways you don't think of it, but you are somewhat of a mentor in doing this position. And what drives me to keep doing it is just seeing everything you guys have given back. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, we are 353 votes shy of our quorum. So we have enough for Friday, but let's, as Alex said, if you know anyone who hasn't done it, please get out the vote. We're almost there. So Jeff, you want to wrap up?
Well, a couple of announcements. Tomorrow morning at 7:30 is coffee at the Country Club. Mark Terry, our mayor, will be there. Darcy Burke, our EVMWD representative, will be there. You can hit her up more with your water questions, so that'll be fun. Or you can just go and have some coffee. Speaking of coffee, on Saturday, May 10th, is Cars and Coffee at Sierra Park, put on by the Canyon Lake Car Club. I want to piggyback on something Eric said. The road work, the estimates that are coming out, that is going to be reviewed by the Facilities Planning Committee. We do make an effort to get this stuff out there for people to look at. During this campaign, it's come out that the committees don't get to be involved. They don't get to see these things. This is going to be reviewed by the committee. We're going to look for their input. There is a time limit. If nobody gets back to us in the time limit, then we're going to proceed. But we do look for that committee involvement. And so we are going to be doing that as well. I also wanted to say that we've set some goals for the country club and the lodge, and they have far exceeded them. In fact, I think the country club was cash flow positive this month, wasn't it? Or was it the lodge? I don't always call it profitable, but we'll call it cash flow positive until the end of the year, and then we'll see where we're at. But we're on the right track. And Susan has led that charge. Bill Medved has helped out with that when he was on the finance committee. And honestly, they've just done a really great job. In addition to that, I would also like to say to Travis, I have really appreciated meeting you and talking with you and getting to know you. You know, there's people always come up with a problem for every solution to us. Travis actually does the opposite and comes up with a solution to the problems. And we appreciate that. And I will tell you, I didn't know Travis that well when I was running. But, you know, every time I see him, he greets me with a handshake and a warm smile. And he's a good human. And I'm going to miss you when you're gone, Travis. So, and in addition to that, this weird guy next to me here, you know, when I got on the board, I wasn't too sure about him. He wasn't too sure about me. And we were sitting at an SAC committee where nobody showed up. And we spent a couple hours just sitting there talking and getting to see what we're all about. And we've not had a problem since, as far as I know. I mean, yeah, we're good? Yeah, okay. But yeah, he's just, I'm going to miss him on here. There's a lot of times that I'll bounce some things off of him. He's been around. He's got a lot of good experience. And we're going to lose a valuable member of the board after today or after the election. I don't want to rush it. So, do you? No, you're stuck. So once again, I just thank you, Travis. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. And then one other thing to get on with the country clubs and the lodges. Don't forget, it's family spaghetti night on Wednesdays. If you haven't gone, it's really good. So, in fact, the only bad part about it is sometimes you can't get a table. So you guys got to go check that out. And I'll leave you with this, you know, because it's the election time, and I know I'm rambling more than normal, but I'm having fun. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Election time is not a time to attack everybody. Run on, we run on what we can do. We don't run on attacking people. We all make mistakes. There are very good people running all over, and there's very good people that don't run that should run. But as you go through this, and we're all neighbors, just remember to treat people the way you want to be treated, because it will come back to you. I'm not one of those karma people, but no, I'm spiteful and vengeful, so it will come back to you. So that's all I've got.
Thanks, Jeff. Joe, parting words.
Well, before I get into my comments, I have to backtrack to committees because as a board, we decided 2 years ago to share the responsibilities at the ACC committee. And we do. One of us takes it in sequence. And so every 5 weeks, because they meet every week, every 5 weeks, we get a chance to serve on that committee. And I got to tell you, I am so impressed with the people on that committee, that the effort and the work that they put in. It's incredible. They don't make a lot of friends in the community because They have to deal with a lot of the declines in non-approvals of projects, but nonetheless, they put in almost a full day on Tuesday, and then they come back on Thursday, and they put in a full day on Thursday, and they do that every week. So this board is a big commitment. Board responsibility is a big commitment. Talk about ACC as a major commitment, and I appreciate everybody on that committee, as well as planning and compliance. Cheryl's not here tonight, but planning and compliance works with ACC. And so if you have a problem with them, you know, they go the extra mile to try to work it out, but not everybody's going to get their wish. So just hang in there. The other thing I want to mention is Travis and I and Bruce Wallace were principals in the beautification tournament this past week. And it's a CLAPS, past presidents of the Men's Golf Club, puts on this tournament every year as a fundraiser for the golf course. And we typically raise $8,000 to $10,000, and that money all goes back into the golf course. This year, we had the benefit of the refurbished plaques, bronze plaques that were taken off the course and replaced. And the CLAPS paid half of that cost with the POA to get the new plaques in. But we decided to refurbish the old plaques and auction them off. We raised almost $8,000 on those plaques alone. And the tournament went on and it raised like $12,000. So we raised together $20,000 for the CLAPS beautification tournament. It's all going to go back into the golf course, 100% of that profit. So that's a great thing. And most of you know, this is my last board meeting. It's the end of my second term. So that's 4 years on the board, which I have absolutely loved. I've enjoyed, I wouldn't be honest if I said every minute, but I've enjoyed most every minute on this board as I serve. I personally want to thank Eric as our general manager, who I've worked with closely for the last 4 years on the board. It's just been a wonderful time working with you, and I'm just amazed at how much you can get done and your management skills and the way the staff looks up to you and appreciates you as a leader. And then your whole management team, you know, Andrea, Steve, Cheryl, Tiffany, David, all this team, and Ken now is new to our team. They do a marvelous job. And we run a $20 million corporation with, 180 employees, and it runs really smooth. When you think about the little hiccups we have during the day, mostly are resolved by the management team and staff. And so I really want to thank them for that. Also, the committee members that I've worked with over the years, having been on the Green Committee for 15 years, the FPC Committee, been on many clubs. Everybody in the community is just wonderful, has a super attitude, and it gives me a real appreciation for the committees and their responsibilities and their commitment and contributions to the board and the community. I'll just cover a couple of things that I want to talk about is that I'm proud of, and that's, I mentioned it earlier about when Jack was up, the irrigation project that I took on when I was on the Green Committee and worked on that for about 3 years on the committee and took it to the board, and we got it approved and passed. And it was all paid for with reserve money, so there was no impact on the dues. And we continue to save water on the golf course. So it's been a major improvement on the golf course. It's made a difference in the condition of the golf course as well as saving us water usage. Another project that we approved when I was on the board is the solar panels. Solar panels cost us absolutely nothing. It was what was the lease, what was the agreement, Eric? It was a power purchase agreement where we agreed to a power rate and contract. They put in over $2 million worth of structures in our community that we're taking advantage of, and we are already seeing the results of our energy bills being reduced. So that's a real positive. And over the next 25 years, should total $3 million in savings. And then the road projects are the other major thing that we've accomplished in my time. And we just, as Eric said, we have approved the third year on the road projects. And I think we're probably over these three projects, we'll spend about $15 million, which is a lot of money, but we have 37 miles of roads. And this will cover about 40% when we completed this project, we'll have completed about 40% of the asphalt in our community. So it's a major accomplishment. So those are things that I'm very proud of, and I'm so glad to have served on the board. And I wish the new board members, whoever are elected, hopefully my cohort's here, but whoever's elected, I wish them well on the board. And my wish to them is that we just keep moving the community forward. That's my goal. Thank you.
All right, Greg, what's your wrap up?
Well, it's been said many times that the spouses of directors give up a lot too, because the time commitment that Bill mentioned earlier is pretty substantial. And I found that out. It was driven home to me about 3 months ago when my wife, Julie, who's sitting right over there, about 3 months ago, she said, honey, when is your board meeting day in May? And I said, Tuesday, May the 6th. Well, I'm still here to live to tell about that story. But the point is that she has been just wonderful to work with me and so forth. And so we're celebrating 30 years today. And it is true for you spouses out there. It's that you give up something. I would also like to congratulate Director Cook and his wife, who are also celebrating their 30th this month, later on this month. Now, I'm going to have the honor tomorrow of serving with Joe on his last committee meeting as a board member. Tonight's not the night, and he's not going to be here for the transition. He's going on his 61st wedding anniversary trip with his wife, Linda, who's also out there tonight. I worked closely with Joe on 2 committees the past couple of years, Appeals and IDR, and it was such a pleasure because, you know, if you looked up 3 words in the dictionary that I used to describe him, level-headed, fair, and thoughtful, I think his picture would be at all 3 places. So as I said, I'm wishing them a great wedding anniversary and many happy years on the golf course, the pickleball courts, and times with friends and family, not necessarily in that order. Trying to keep you out of trouble. So it's been very inspiring to me to work with Joe. He's someone who's active and engaged in his life and his family, a great marriage, and his dedication, obviously, to your POA. So, Joe, on behalf of the POA and for myself, thank you very much.
All right. I want to make everyone aware there's a new thing that this board decided to do for our community, and that is we have such a great community here, but people come in and they don't always know everything that it has to offer, right? There's clubs, there's committees they can participate on. They don't always know the rules having to do with ACC. So one of the things we are going to do starting May 21st is we are having a new homeowner meeting where it'll be a meet and greet with the board members, with the staff, where we get together with anyone who's bought a house in the last year and just give them, it's a welcome meeting to come forward and say, here's where we are. Here's what our community has to offer. And if you have any questions, contact one of us. So looking forward to doing that. Before that, there's an important day this weekend. So it's Mother's Day, right? So I want to congratulate all the spouses and the mothers in particular for this Sunday. wish them all a happy Mother's Day. And I do, just my final comments then are, again, I'm so thankful for this board. This board has worked as a team. And also, as Greg said, the spouses that really provide the support for everyone to do that. And so I'm very thankful for that and look forward to the next year with the new board. But I want to thank everyone for their service. Our next meeting is in 8 days, Wednesday, May 14th. Hopefully, we will have a quorum, and we will then have this board sit and then bring in the new board. If we happen to fall short, then it's going to be Friday, May 16th. So I want everyone to remember that. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Hearing 5 in favor, meeting adjourned.
Thank you for attending, everyone.
Thank you.